I'm joking! Stop! 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 Stop the break! Stop!
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
So normally I like to do a bit of a segue section here that slowly builds into me talking about the art type featured in this video, but today I'm just way too excited about this deck to worry about trying any of that witty stuff with this script. I just want to talk about and encourage you guys as much as I can to give this art type a go, as honestly, I think this deck, out of all the decks I've played in Yu-Gi-Oh!, might just be in the top 2 favourites. This shit is really fun, for a whole load of reasons. First of all, the deck is built like a Build-A-Board or Build-A-Boss style deck, similar to Drytron or Virtual World, but with one major difference. It's not fucking cringe. Unlike the beta VFDs or Herald players, this deck doesn't rely on just hiding behind some cringy infinite negate cancer boss that just doesn't let your opponent play the game. This deck instead plays the Chad himself, Battle Butler, who rather than trying to stop your opponent playing the game, he lets them. Then once he feels like they've set up a nice little board for themselves, he goes full nuclear, decimating all life on your opponent's side of the field, and just when the smoke begins to settle and they start rebuilding their life again, boom, a second nuke is dropped. 2 board wipes, none of this pussy ass negate stuff. Well, except for Toad, but he's cute, so it's okay. Then we have the Dex Consistency. Every single monster in this art type will lead to full combo. Just one of any of them in opening hand, and you can make your board. That's 12 monsters, plus 3 searching field spells, plus a terraforming. 16 shots at full combo, and 93% chance of not bricking every single game. Now because every card in this deck is a starter and you only need 1 card, the rest of the deck is mostly just hand traps to stop your opponent building those cancer boards if you're unlucky enough to have to go second. Oh, and just one more thing. You know those annoying little Eldritch twats who like to set 5 cards every game? Yeah, well we've got a little nuke for those guys as well, don't you worry. So here's the deck list. Now before I get into the deck list, just a reminder that if you're enjoying any of the content you are watching or find any of it useful, to please drop a like on the video down below and consider subscribing to the channel whilst you're down there. I make a buttload of content on Master Duel, including free-to-play builds, meta stuff, memes, guides, basically everything, so if you're interested in any of that stuff, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. Alright, so I've spoken a lot about this art type already, so I'll try to keep this section really brief. Basically, the deck revolves around a whole bunch of low-level monsters, all with various different effects, but they all share one main effect. If they are sent to the graveyard as material for a Prank Kid Fusion or Link monster, they can special summon another one of their little buddies straight from the deck, basically leading to a whole bunch of 1-card combos that can climb Link rating all the way up to 4 to create boss monsters such as Rip-Roarin-Roaster or Accesscode Talker, while simultaneously providing resources for your fusion spell Pandemonium to fusion summon your main boss monster Battle Butler. The rest of the deck is basically just a whole bunch of hand traps and tech cards which synergize with this deck. I'll talk more about each of them during the gameplay portion of the video, as it's probably easier if I just show you when I use them. Last thing I want to mention about the list is just how cheap the core is. The only card that is actually hard to obtain in this core is Battle Butler. Everything else is SR or lower, with the vast majority of the art type just being normal rarity. My list itself is a little more expensive as I'm playing all the stock standard ultra rare hand traps and disruption, but if you don't have any of that stuff, don't worry, it's not necessary for the deck to function. That's just all the luxury stuff. This deck's easily replaceable with just whatever disruption cards you own. Alright guys, that's going to do it for the decklist portion of the video. The rest of the video will be gameplay with commentary showcasing the list in action. Remember, if you're enjoying the video or finding any of the content useful, to please drop a like down below and consider subscribing to the channel whilst you're down there. Enjoy the gameplay. Alright, so let's get into it. So I just want to quickly point out that I'm currently undefeated with this deck. I know it's only in gold, but the season did just reset like 2 days ago, so everyone that was in plat is currently in gold anyway, and currently as of the recording of this video, platinum is still the highest rank. So it's not that bad, and I did win like 8 games in a row with this deck or some shit, so it's a pretty good showing. All these replays that I've collected today are going to be showing off the 4 starts of this deck. There's going to be one using Polymerization, one using 2 Prank Kids, one using 1 Prank Kid, and then you're going second play. So all these combos are handpicked on purpose. These are the 4 starts. All you need to remember with this deck are these 4 starts, which I'm about to show you. Alright, now, I'm going to warn you, it can be a little bit overwhelming at first, and I'm going to try to explain it as easy as I can, but it may be a bit overwhelming. Especially when I try to point out, because there's a lot of chain blocking you do with this deck too, and I'll try to point it out as I'm doing it. So, yeah, let's get into it. So the start of this duel was pretty lame. Our opponent has a Max C, so unfortunately with this deck, if you don't draw your Cool by the Glaives or your Ash Blossoms, if your opponent activates Max C, you're just gonna have to pass. This deck does way too much special summoning, and the only way to set up your board wiping nuke is to do like 60 special summons, so it's just not worth letting your opponent draw those cards, so we just pass the turn. Thankfully we have our own Max C, so we can do the same back to him, and hope he doesn't have the Ash Blossom, which he didn't. He does some photon-y stuff, I don't really know what he's trying to summon here, but he summoned some stuff. Now this is actually going to be our going second play. So forget the whole rest of this duel happened, okay? Pretend we're starting now and we're going second, because that's exactly what I'm about to show you. This is your going second combo, your standard one. And you can only do it when you have 2 Prank Kid monsters in hand, or 1 Prank Kid and your field spell to search the other one. Alright. Max C, we have Ash Blossom, so it didn't matter. So first things first, we're going to link off our monster to make Meow-Meow. Lampsies effect will go off. This will special summon a dude from deck. And Lampsies a little bit of burn damage too. Now if you'll notice, I actually changed the field spell to the special summon there, so that way your opponent couldn't actually Ash Blossom it even if he wanted to, because the field spell blocked it. Then we're going to link summon out our Dodo-Doodle-Doo, using our Fansies. Now this is something you normally want to do. You normally want to have Fansies being your second special summon along with your Dodo-Doo on board. That way when you do this effect, when you try to link them together, you can chain this dude to it. This way, again, chain blocked. If your opponent Ash Blossoms, you have to Ash Blossom this instead of your Fansies, which in that case, because you're about to use this to search for a spell, you can just use the Fansies to send the spell to the grave anyway, and this guy has a tribute effect which can add that to hand. So you can ignore that if you like, it doesn't matter too much, it's just for chain blocking purposes. Normally you want to chain this guy to Fansies effect. We search for a Prank Kid's Pranks. We use Prank Kid's Pranks to discard a card, special summon a token. This allows us to link into a Bow Wow Bark. Dropsies, going to be gaining some life points, special summoning out a boy. Summoning out Accesscode Talker. Now we also could have summoned our Borrelsword dude, or his name Borrelsword, right? Yeah, a Borrelsword Dragon, sorry, and gone for like some OTK here, but the whole purpose of this replay was I wanted to show you the standard play, which is normally your opponent has more than 1 monster on board, so it's normally better to summon this guy. So I summon this dude out. You know what this guy does? Yeah, gain some attack, destroy some stuff. Now normally, you would have to end the combo here, or end the battle phase here, and go straight into your main phase 2. So you just go to battle phase, swing with this, go to main phase 2. And then you'd use these two to link summon out Verte Anaconda. Verte Anaconda can then use the Thunder Dragon fusion from deck. In this case, we just hard drew it so we can ignore all that, and we can just, well, keep this guy around. So we can summon out our Battle Butler. And this is already lethal on board, but I'm going to use my monster on board and some other stuff as well, but this is already your standard play. So that's normally what you do going second. Normally you don't be able to OTK your opponent that often. Normally you'd have to Verte Anaconda into this dude. Alright, game 2. Alright. So this is your standard going first play. This is the best board state you can create, and it's with 2 prank kids with different names, or 1 prank kid in your field spell to search for another one. Thankfully we also got called by the grave for this annoying max C that's about to happen. And it starts off relatively the same to what you previously just saw. So link off into our link 1. Spectral summon out from deck. She also lets you discard a card to draw a card too. Again, we're summoning the Fansies and the Dodo-Doodle-Doo. So we can chain their effects together, chain blocking. Searching for our Pandemonium. So notice it's a bit different to last time that we searched for Pandemonium, but we already had the Prank Kids Pranks in hand anyway, so. Summoning out Dropsies. Then we're going to use our Pandemonium to fusion spell out into Rocket Ride. Now very important here, don't put Rocket Ride below this guy, as you're going to need this link spot, where this link arrow is pointing to. Dropsies and Lampsies will go off, so you can summon 2 monsters onto the board. And then you can chain block with Rocket Ride's effect, so another chain block there. Rocket Ride's effect doesn't matter at all, you can use it there. So again, no Ash Blossoms allowed, and we can summon our 2 monsters to the board safely. Searching for the field spell here. This is so I could do some more chain blocking, I'm pretty sure. It doesn't really matter. This part isn't part of the combo. So we summon out our Bow Wow Bark to the link spot. This allows us to link summon straight into Rip-Roarin-Roaster. Rocket Ride contribute himself. Special summon back the 2 link monsters. You can then tribute your Dodo-Doo guy to add back your fusion spell to use during your next turn, and add back a Dropsies to hand. Now make sure you add back one of the monsters you actually need for your fusion summon, because you need to have your 3 fusion materials for this man, which is Pranky, Lampsies, Dropsies, and Fansies. So make sure you add back one of them to hand, not the yellow one, which I forgot its name is. Okay, not Rocksies. This card you don't want to add back to hand. And I'm just going to set the Pandemonium. Activate Prank Kids Pranks. During the end phase, shuffle some stuff back into deck. But make sure if we're shuffling stuff back into the deck, make sure we still keep the 3 monsters we need for the fusion summon. Because if you shuffle them back into the deck and you can't fusion summon, you just ruined everything. And this lets you draw a card. Alright, also important. So keep the toggle on for this. You toggle on, and at the very start when he draws a card, it will give you the chance to activate stuff during his draw phase. So you activate your monster's effect. This will give you your 2 monsters back to hand, which you can then use with your Pandemonium to fusion summon. This is pretty important because if you don't do this and your opponent has some kind of back row removal, he activates it first, you don't get your materials in hand before you can activate Pandemonium, and you just you're screwed. Now the reason this guy is so good is that when you tribute him for this effect, it also means all your Prank Kid monsters cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects for the rest of the turn. So remember that. See, opponent had Harvey's Feather Duster. If we didn't have the toggle on and we didn't do that beforehand, we couldn't activate this to summon any monsters, as we wouldn't have had them in hand. Alright, summoned out our Prank Kids boy. On summon, all our guys' effects goes off once again, so we get our 3 monsters back on board. All their effects just go off again, summoning all our stuff. Now, this is where your board state is at its best. You have this dude who can tribute himself to nuke or back row, and you have this dude who can tribute himself to nuke or front row. And you have the link monster in graveyard, which if something ever tributes itself, you can banish this card instead. So you either have 2 monster nukes or you have 2 back row nukes, whichever you decide. In this case, our opponent was playing Chaos Max, so normally this has a nasty little OTK that does 8,000 damage, but as you'll notice, we actually have 10,000 life points, so we're actually safe from that combo. We wait to the battle phase, and then during the battle phase, we activate our monster effect, destroying these two monsters. This guy's immune. Add back the doggo, because he's a link too, so we can use him for link material. End phase, we're going to destroy the back row. And with all this material on board, we can easily make ourselves a nice little Borrelsword, which you'll see in a sec. I also do something a little bit spicy here too. I'm trying to make sure, because of all these effects have been reset so we can reuse them again, I'm trying to make sure I can use off as much effects as I can, so I can link summon into as many prank kids as I can to get as many special summons out and stuff like that. But I also make sure that I get out 2 Dropsies, because 2 Dropsies is actually 2 water monsters, or 2 aqua monsters. There's a Borrelsword, changing battle position, you know what Borrelsword does. But we can also summon out a Toadally Awesome. Borrelsword, gain the attack, and this guy's very dead. Alright. Game 3. So I reckon this is the Poly combo next, and this is the actual Totally Awesome combo. So this is when you have 1 monster in hand and 1 Poly. You can make this combo. I think. Alright, first of all we open a load of garbage by the looks of things actually. Ash Blossoms are terraforming, because even this terraforming alone actually would have been a start combo, but unfortunately, he Ash Blossomed it. But we do have like 4 hand traps in hand, so we should be okay. Goes to the end phase. I think this is the Dragon Maid player, I think? Yeah, it was. Activate our Max C for any special summons, we gain some draw. Hopefully to try to deter our opponent from playing too much, because our hand's kinda a little bit dead. I actually think this wasn't the Totally Awesome combo, this was just the standard start actually, I think. Alright. Summon our guy, he bounces to hand. Very cringe. So again, we'd have to pass by again. But it's fine, we've still got a trillion hand traps, so it's whatever. Our opponent has a whole bunch of stuff. I know this is the main monster in Dragon Maid, so I Ash Blossom it. In hindsight, probably shouldn't have ashed this, probably should have Imperial Ordered, because I'm pretty sure I then negate its effects 1 second later anyway. Yeah, so I kind of just wasted an Ash there. That's fine. Still got Nibiru and another infinite impermanence, so. Alright, finally we can play the game. Never mind. This was a very interesting, this is a complete hand trap off this duel. Very standard Yu-Gi-Oh, I imagine. Eventually I'll be able to show you the combo I'm trying to show you with this deck. I'm pretty sure I end up just trying to do a 1-card combo in this, I think. Alright, again, our opponent does some stuff. Not really sure what he's doing at this point, because I don't really know what this deck does. I know it does a lot of swapping during the battle phase, so we're going to be negating that. And scarily, our opponent does summon out one of his boss monsters, I believe. He swings in, does some damage. Fast forward a bit here. Summons out this dude. This guy's rather annoying. Whenever one of these monsters returns to hand, he can remove a monster or some shit, so I'm just going to try and Impermanence it or get rid of it as quickly as possible, because it's rather annoying. Okay, you can negate the activation, destroy it, and return Slate. Yeah, really annoying card. Now, this is the one that during the battle phase, when Slate returns to hand, you can, well, not during battle phase, but during the battle phase, this guy can return to hand, meaning this guy's effect goes off to destroy something. So important, we don't want to go to battle phase during this turn. Alright, so here is this is your combo if you are starting with just 1 monster. I know it took a while to get here, but anyway. So you link summon out your Meow-Meow. Summons Fansies. Summon out Dodo. Fansies again, chaining. This time, searching for not the fusion spell, but Prank Kids Pranks, okay? You don't search the fusion spell with the one card, you search for the other guy, or the other spell. Then we do a lot of the same stuff as you used to. Adding back a spell and a Fansies. Because Fansies sent a spell to grave, so we just sent the fusion spell that way, and we tributed it to add them back to hand. Then we're going to use the Prank Kids Pranks to discard the Fansies, give us a token, which can then be used to link summon out another Dodo. Roxy summon a boy. Link summon out Bow Wow Bark. Roxy's effect, discarding the Nibiru to draw a card. Draw it into a skill drain, and then we set a card. And this is your end board, these 3 cards, and this dude. Because then this guy is then going to add back the monsters to hand that you need to be able to use the Pandemonium. Also, something I want to point out in this deck, because I haven't gone through it yet, is skill drain's really good in this deck because all your monsters tribute themselves and their effects go off in the graveyard. So they're not negated by skill drain. So you can negate all your opponent's stuff and still get all your board wipes and stuff without getting them negated. So that's why skill drain's in the deck. So make sure you use pranks to shuffle everything back into the deck. That is not the monsters you need for your Pandemonium, alright? So remember to make sure to keep the 2 monsters that you need, or the 3 monsters you need, the 1 on board and the 2 in grave, enough for the Pandemonium. Power Bark, summon back the 2 monsters, and now we have the 3, add back them to hand, now we have the 3 monsters for the guy. Straight out summon out our boss monster. Once again summoning out all three of our boys. Then we're going to be chaining our dude to it, nuking our opponent's board before he gets to do any funny business. Banishing the guy. And there's a board nuke. And keep in mind, he still has another one, so if we set up another board here, we can tribute this guy and nuke it again. We still have a skill drain as well. Alright, so Meow-Meow. Now here we could have tried to go for just like a normal lethal here, trying to lethal him, but I decided to play a little bit, because I was scared of this back row. So I decided I wanted to play to a point where I could try to get out a Toadally Awesome to negate the back row. Unfortunately, my small brain didn't factor for the fact that maybe this guy was playing a certain monster. Not that one. That one wasn't a problem. So we negated our stuff again. But the issue was when I tried to special summon out the second water monster, I tried to normal summon it out. Yeah. This was a Nibiru. Thankfully we can chain our nuke in the meantime to get rid of the stuff on board. Not that matters, that stuff was going to get destroyed anyway. But yeah. That's a Nibiru. On the bright side though, we have this card for a shit ton of grind game, and we have a skill drain still on board, and the 6,000 attack monster, which isn't anything to laugh at. So even after that Nibiru, I'm pretty sure our opponent just yeah, our opponent just gives up here. Before he even sees the skill drain, he gives up, I'm pretty sure. Because he realizes we can just full combo again with our Lampsies, or not full combo, but do some kind of combo. So before we even get started, I'm pretty sure he just concedes. I think we definitely misplayed there by playing into Nibiru. But I wanted to get fancy and try to summon Toad, alright? Alright, final game. My god, this recording's probably been a very long one. I apologize if a lot of this stuff is pretty overwhelming, but trust me, there's only 4 combos you need to remember, so once you know them all, the deck is very smooth. Alright, so this is the combo that you start off with Toadally Awesome. So you just need a monster and Polymerization in hand. Alright. Now there's a cool little trick you can do here with Monster Reborn, where when you do this, when you use your Fansies to summon out your Meow-Meow, instead of activating the Fansies effect, which you can Ash Blossom, you Monster Reborn it instead. That way, I don't do it here because I'm called by the grave, so I don't care. But that way you can do the standard combo that we've been doing all day of summon the Dodo-Doo guy and chain it, or chain the Fansies to the, or chain the Dodo guy to the Fansies, so you get the chain block off. That's the main reason Monster Reborn's actually in here, I'm pretty sure. That, and it's also a nasty extender. You can also actually do a similar thing with Instant Fusion, which is why Instant Fusion in the deck too. So, yeah, keep that in mind. Alright. So important that we summoned out the droplets, because we need the droplets for the XC summon in a bit. So we activate our Polymerization, go into Rocket Ride. Dropsies, going to summon out a card from deck. Rocket Ride, going to be chaining to it, so if he has Ash Blossom, again, chain blocked. Summoning out Rocksies. Activating our Dude's effect, this will add back the 2 monsters to board. Making sure, again, we summon out the monster we want to XCs with, which is the Dropsies. We can then link off, keeping the Dropsies on board into Bow Wow Bark. Using the other 2's effect. This will give us the second Dropsies, and we can go straight into Toadally Awesome. Set our pranks, and set all other stuff. Pranks end phase, again, going to be making sure we keep the stuff engraved that we need for the fusion summon, which is the 2 other monsters that is not Dropsies. Because we're going to add them back to hand with Bow Wow Bark. And the cool thing about Toad is, as you're about to see, when our opponent tries to activate an effect, we can negate it. And Toad then allows you to add the card that you sent to grave back to hand, or when this card gets removed, it adds a card back to hand. So we can add back the Dropsies straight to hand after negating his Lightning Storm. Which we yoink for ourselves, actually. My Lightning Storm now. So add back the Dropsies to hand. Now we have Pandemonium, all 3 monsters, summon out our boss again. And I reckon our opponent didn't get to do a whole lot of playing this game. Activates Urgent Schedule. I have no idea what this guy's deck does, so I assume this is important. I just Ash Blossom it. I think this guy's actually playing some kind of train deck, actually. Once again, using our boy's effects, gaining some life points, drawing some cards, doing some burn damage. Oh, hang on. Our opponent summons a monster, activates another monster effect to special summon it. I don't know what any of this stuff does, but before he gets to do anything, I just say, hell no. We're gonna be nuking that shit. And once again, even if he did have another play, this card contributes itself a second time, so we can do another board wipe. But he didn't, so game over. Alright, that's it for today's replays. I hope you guys enjoyed them. I know it's a little bit overwhelming and there's a lot of stuff to learn in here, but trust me, this deck is really fun once you know them, and I highly encourage you guys to give it a go. Anyways, if you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff, and hope to see you in the next one. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.